With that being said, I think we want to jump over to the NFC playoff picture and kind of really dissect that whole scene, that whole NFC scene in general. So
Yeah, and I guess we should probably start out west with the Seahawks that we were mentioning before, sitting on top of that division. So far we're like around the midway point here, changing over, from week 7 to week 8 incoming, and yeah, the Seahawks looking good. One loss. Uh, I see no reason why they shouldn't make the playoffs, even if somehow one of the other teams catches on. Obviously we see the Cardinals, they get Hopkins
the
back,
Hopkins
which is a
back there.
huge difference from what how their team plays with him and without him. Um, we know the other teams in that division. The Rams, reigning Super Bowl champs, and so on and so. Yeah. We talked about the 49ers, they have their playoff, hopes as well, but I like the Seahawks here to kind of do enough to fend them off, and even if they don't win the entire division,
At least make a wild
yeah,
card spot.
yeah, they look like pretty good chance to make the playoffs, which definitely takes away hopes from the other three teams there, and yeah, so that division will be one to watch though, with all those guys looking to make moves. We see, like we just talked about, the 49ers making trades to improve their team. They're certainly trying to go for it. Move to the NFC North. Um, this one is a bit of a weird situation with the Packers kind of sliding,
Right.
but the Vikings have been doing well. Besides the primetime game against the Eagles, um,
They've been
they've
kind of under
been
the radar, really. So
very under the radar. Justin Jefferson has been an absolute monster this year.
yeah,
Was to be expected, but still, and they've been winning games. Only one loss so far. So, Vikings looking like another team. Maybe not as surprising as the Seahawks, but I would say it's probably maybe a more sure thing that they make the playoffs at this point, because if the
yeah,
Seahawks, we could see the Seahawks maybe slide at some point. I
right.
don't think it's gonna happen,
Yeah,
but it
I
wouldn't
don't think
be
it's a fluke at
but
all.
but it wouldn't be surprising if all of a sudden, they something happens and they start losing games with the
Yeah,
Vikings. I'd be a bit more surprised
if they like start
if they
falling
yeah if
off,
they just
yeah,
completely fell off a cliff, because we look, I don't expect much from the Vikings overall once they get to the playoffs. I mean, we see what happens with, put Kirk Cousins on prime time, and
and
some
he just
bad things
crumbles.
happen, right?
Yeah,
But otherwise, I think they'll keep piling up some wins. I doubt they finish with more than 4 or 5 losses tops on their record at this point. I
right.
haven't really dissected their schedule like that, but yeah, and we see the Packers not looking
Still
very well,
struggling.
struggling. They've, I don't know what's going on with them. I mean,
It's
we know we'll get into the Packers in a bit,
yeah.
but yeah, they're certainly struggling. The Bears, they finally got that win against the Patriots. That was surprising to everyone, but
The Bears are gonna
regardless,
be the
yeah,
Bears at the end of the
they're
day.
there. So, yeah, and then the Lions are kind of up and down. They're not much.
They're a competitive team, but they just can't close out
Yeah,
games.
they're
They still
competitive.
have
They're
that closeout
building.
game
They're
thing,
they're
and
making progress, but they're not there at a level to kind of get in this NFC playoff picture party.
right.
Um, but then yeah, we could go to the. I guess let's go NFC South first. Um, that's a kind of a division really
It's kind of
up.
open.
Yeah, very very open, right? We see the Panthers having problems, but and they're probably not going to be competing for it, but
Yeah, I
they're
don't
also
think so. No.
not very far behind the other teams record wise. You talk about the Bucks, they're kind of sliding the way the Packers are with their troubles. We have the Saints, very up and down play from them. The Falcons, nobody really expects
Nobody
much from the
really.
Falcons
Yeah,
this year. So yeah, that entire division is open. There's probably not going to be a wild card coming from there. So it's going to be
yeah. I don't
whichever
think.
team can kind of get to the top of that division is who we're going to see in
Yeah,
that NFC playoffs. Um, but yeah, and the NFC East is more interesting than we would have thought.
I think that's where you're gonna probably see the majority of the wild card teams coming from in general.
Yeah, I mean, if the Packers get it together, I think we'll probably see them either be the wild card or somehow come in and win that division, and then the
Yeah.
other wild card is for sure coming from either the NFC East or the NFC West.
Yeah. So the thing with the Packers is where they have the issues is the head to heads with the NFC East because say they do get on a roll and they do end up making progress and um not winning the division, but they make a close run to it, and they're one of the wild card teams that are neck and neck with say even the Giants or the Cowboys. They have a loss against the Giants. They haven't versed the Cowboys yet, so that's kind of up in the air. They have a loss to the Commanders, and that's kind of like depending on how close things can get, that may be a big factor. The NFC West, obviously, we know what's going on with the Seahawks. That division predominantly runs like the whole wild card situation. It's usually like one team from, or it's usually two teams from that division that makes it, or even sometimes three teams.
Well, what
So
I think we'll see too is also the new playoff format where only the first seed
he
gets
gets
the
a
bye,
bye,
and we
right?
have three actual wild cards now against the other three division winners. So there is a chance that like we said, there's a chance that the Packers could be there depending on how if they get things together. We
The
know it'll be tough, especially with the NFC East schedule this year, but I would expect at least one from that NFC West and maybe another one from the NFC
from the
East
East,
to
yeah.
kind of put enough wins together to you know see who comes out of the playoffs at the end of the year here.